Canto. I'm Christina, and I'm so glad that you're with me today. If you're new, welcome in. If you're returning, welcome back. No matter how long you've been here, I always appreciate your time. Apologies if I'm looking all hither and yon. My new microphone is taken to like tilting down, and when it tilts, then it makes my camera go whoop. So then I have to figure out how to make this all work. So I'm hoping that it stays still long enough for me to do this video, and maybe one more. We'll see. So today, I have my notes here. We are going to do a video that I haven't done in a while. It's a series called Fiber Facts with You. And I started this months and months ago as a way to sort of share the fiber arts timeline. So I have a couple of timelines in my binder, and I have my binder here. So I have this one, and then I have another one here, and this one is multiple pages. So I go off of both of these and try to line up what things were happening in different parts of the world. And see, it's turning. It's turning. See what's happening in different parts of the world and see how all of that will line up. So I've been kind of going back and forth with my next video, trying to make sure that I was doing everything the way that I kind of wanted it to go. And I settled on, if you've seen the title, right, embroidery, because even though some of the other things that I was looking at can fall into the timeline as possibilities, embroidery is a definite. So we've talked about silk, we've talked about hemp, we've talked about linen, we've talked about all these different types of fibers. This is the first time that the fiber has then been used to make something other than clothing or something useful like rope. This is the first time it's been used as decoration. So embroidery is the decorating of a material, whether that's a jacket, whether that's a sleeve, whether that's the little embroidery hoops that you see, right? They're all different kinds of ways that you can do that. And there are also different kinds of embroidery, which I was not aware of until I started doing this research. And I'm not going to delve into each one of them. I'll talk about them, but I'm not going to take a deep dive into each one. So the ones that are listed here are needlepoint, cross stitch, and quilting, as well as quill work and feather work. So going all the way back to the ancient Egyptian tombs, there have been paintings that show all different manner of fabrics that were highly decorated. Quilting was something that started with the ancient Persians, and the garments were worn as a type of armor. And then when we look at things like the Greeks and the Romans, you see embroidery on images of their pottery and all that kind of stuff. So we see a lot of embroidery taking place as a for sure thing. So it's thought to believe that it originated in China and the Near East. So it says, and this one, and I will link both of the articles that I have here in the description box. So it says it can be actually traced back to Cro-Magnon days or 30,000 BC. There's fossilized remains of heavily hand-stitched and decorated clothing. So I don't have a ton of pictures for this video, but I do even actually have my own embroidery. my phone, because I actually did my own embroidery with a pattern that I got from a kit for my Happy Meal Advent. So I have even done embroidery myself. And as I said, it was not my favorite, but it was a blend of crochet and embroidery. Not focusing. There, maybe not. Focus. There it goes. So I've actually done my own embroidery, and that resides in my daughter's room. She wanted it. And it's pink, so I wasn't going to use it. Now I'm blurry. Oh, yeah. Does that make it better? I don't know. Maybe I'll come back into focus. I'm sorry. Maybe you can't even see me because the pictures are scrolling. I don't know. Let's see what happens. We'll see. Anyway, so you can also find them, examples of embroidery in between the 5th and 3rd century BC in the Warring States, which is in China. And in Sweden, the earliest finds of embroidery are known from the Vikings in the 9th and 10th centuries. So the earliest ones that we have that are fully intact are the 5th and 3rd century ones from the Near East. But you see, I mean, I've seen tons of movies. I also happen to really enjoy period pieces of this blurriness is bothering me. Let me see if I pause and come back if it'll fix it. Okay, I'm back. Different lighting situation. I turned some lights on. I think getting up and moving away from the camera and coming back really helped things. Anyway, I really enjoy period dramas and things like that. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I also enjoy things like documentaries. I know, I'm so boring. But I that's just what I enjoy. So I have always seen those highly decorated gowns, and the women are often sitting there doing some sort of embroidery or cross stitch or something like that in the drawing rooms and things like that. And even in some of the books that I've read about different times in history, the way that women were trained to do things, to take care of the household and to do the mending, all of those things, right? So embroidery has always been important you can quickly mend something, but then kind of put a little decoration around it if it wasn't like the perfect kind of job. But it can also elevate a piece of clothing. So it can take a piece like a simple dress. There was a German fest that they had recently off base that we went to, and people were wearing, I don't own one, but people were wearing dirndls, and some of those were very highly embroidered, and that was beautiful to me. Now, some of them were print, like there were a couple of women that had just ones that had different print on them, but some of them were embroidered, and they were really lovely. And even some of the children had dirndls on, and they were had some embroidery like in the corners here. Some of them had them on the bodice part. It was really, really pretty to see. Anyway, sidetracked. But embroidery has been around for a really long time. What's the point of all that? So you can see examples from India. You can see examples from all over the Middle East. The Greek islands have different forms of embroidery. And this article says that in the 18th and 19th century, the Greeks produced geometric embroidery patterns, which differed from island to island. and those of the Ionian and Skyros, Scyros, often showed Turkish influences. But in Northern Europe, especially in the Middle Ages, it was often ecclesiastical, so religious in nature. You have tapestries, you have, again here, in 1561, Elizabeth I granted a charter of incorporation to the Broderers Company, a further step in developing of secular embroidery, which was apparent in Henry VIII's reign. So it went from being just almost purely for the church to decorate robes and tapestries to be hung there, to being not so what's the word I'm looking for? Not so isolated in use. Let's just use that term, that phrase. So it did turn its way to North America, and you can see things such as crewel work, Crewel, crewel, not cruel as in mean. And you get like the samplers, which I do have an example of here. But there's embroidery in all countries. I mean, obviously. So it's not just how it transferred to America, but how you see the different designs. I mean, some of the Indian embroidery, I've seen some of my Indian friends in their marriage garments. Oh my goodness, the detail in some of those things, especially like on the back, or the women's dresses, just all the way across. Oh my goodness, I could only imagine the amount of time that takes. And a lot of those, especially for brides, it's a point of pride in the family to have that be handmade, for a lot of families. So I think that is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And today there are a lot of computers that will do the embroidery for you. I know that my daughter, when I was pregnant with her, one of the things that I had made was a blanket with very specific colors that I liked. It wasn't necessarily colors that she liked, but it was a baby blanket, and I had her name embroidered on it. And the woman did. She used a machine to do it, and that's completely fine. Embroidery takes a long time. I would assume it is going to take, because just the little hoop thing that I did, I wanted to just rip everything out. And I know I did not follow the rules where you're like supposed to take and cut the thing, because it made the back really heavy. But like if I was taking the color and I was going to another side of the hoop, I just took it on over there, because eventually I want to get like a piece of fabric to put on the back, so you're not going to see all those strings anyway. But to have all of that and have to do all of those intricate little cut this and do this and all these knots, I mean, it feels like it would take, like people say that knitting takes a while. I don't knit either. I don't know how yet. I will learn at some point. That is a goal. I want to learn how to do it. But if it's anything like the embroidery was, if it's anything like working with the Superfine #1 that I'm working with right now, it's not going to be something that I continue with. Learn how to do it to say I know how to do it, but that's about it. So we see more digital use of the embroidery. So if we go back to the middle of that, before it became like digitized and computerized, you do still see machines doing embroidery. I mean, I think back to when I was young and I had like the jean jackets that had the embroidered flowers on it, and the jeans, of course, that had all of the little, they looked like patches, but they weren't really patches. I mean, it was a machine created design, right? So you had all of that even before there were like big fancy computers that you could like put in the little pattern in and just like boop, 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 touch the little screen, right? It was a series of like programming this to do that over here and over there. But even before that, you could take, this other article says that the earliest machine embroidery was found in France in the mid-1800s, which utilized a combination of machine looms and hand embroidery. So there's lots of different ways that you can do embroidery to make it fit the style that you want. And there are still a lot of people that do embroidery. I know even where I work, there are people who do cross stitch. There are people who do needlepoint, and they make some very, very lovely things. And there are some people, when they see me crochet, and they're like, oh, I used to do cross stitch, I used to do this, but just my hands just won't let me do those things anymore. And recently I've been, or some people even say my eyes won't let me do that anymore. My eyes are already bad, but I'm hoping that I do not get to the point where I can't do the crafts that I love so much. So I've taken to exercising my hands and trying to continue to do things with them that are outside of my daily things. So like I do a lot of typing, I do a lot of writing, but like gripping onto things so that the muscles in this part of my hand and like my wrist and all that, especially my left hand because I'm right-handed, predominantly. I mean, I can write with my left hand. I cannot crochet with my left hand. I've tried. But I can throw. I actually throw better with my left hand than I do my right hand. So I'm trying to do things with my hands so that I can keep up the ability to do all the things that I am learning to do through these Happy Mail Advent kits, but also crochet, which I love to do. So I know this has been kind of all over the place as a video, but I hope that you have enjoyed this video of fiber facts with you on embroidery, and I hope to bring you these a little bit more regularly again now that I've kind of gotten situated how I want to piece this out. And as always, be well, be safe, and be the change you wish to see in the world, everyone. Ciao.